I'm Steve Bookbinder. I'm the CEO and lead trainer for DMTraining. We are a sales development company headquartered in New York City. We work with clients all over the world who are attempting to do what I believe is the most difficult, most challenging, and most rewarding thing in business, which is to grow their business, specifically grow sales by entering new markets, selling new products, finding new distributors, and gaining a competitive advantage, and controlling the growth, and accurately forecasting along the way. Let's break down together the challenges of generating new business, beginning with my favorite challenge, which I call New World Since March. Let me explain. I've had the chance to train, coach, mentor, and manage more than 50,000 salespeople and sales managers all over the world. 80% of them, when I first met them, were not hitting their goal, but nearly 100% believed they already knew how to sell. Because people think that sales is a binary skill. You either know how to sell or you don't know how to sell. Like you know how to ride a bicycle or you don't know how to ride. First of all, selling involves a number of skills, a number of strategies, a number of tactics, a number of habits and disciplines. Knowing how to sell suggests that it hasn't ever changed. Meanwhile, everything about the way we communicate, and sales is mostly communicating, everything about the way we communicate is completely different than it used to be. You don't do anything the same today as you did more than 5 years ago. But more importantly, the customer has completely changed. There's nothing about the customer's buying process which is the same today as it used to be. Well, not only have things in general been changing over the last 5 years, but since March of 2020, you could argue that we are in a brand new world if we are not adopting new skills and adapting our classic skills. We are not going to match up well with a customer who's a completely different kind of a person following a completely different kind of a buying process. To be effective, we all need to reinvent ourselves every year, and that's what I help my clients do. The second challenge is what I call sales is like exercise. And by that I mean this. Everybody agrees exercise is great, except not today. Everybody agrees sales is great, just not today. Today I'm busy. We like the parts of the sales process that we like, so we gravitate toward writing proposals. We tend not to like prospecting, so we gravitate away from that. So like exercise, if you really do the right exercises every single day, a year from now you end up where you want to be. Problem is that most salespeople treat sales like exercise and only do the parts they really like, and as a result, don't end up where they want to be. And I will address that in a few minutes. The next challenge I call 50% versus 1 in a million. Let me explain. In sales, there's a lot of times we're asking salespeople to forecast, project, guess, tell us what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. And based on their answers, we will make decisions about investments, resources, and time. Salespeople will make those decisions. Sales managers will make those decisions. Company owners will make those decisions. Meanwhile, are we making the right decisions? Are the forecasts right? Well, sadly, most salespeople confuse 50% with 1 in a million, making all of their other guesses suspect. Let me explain. To the average salesperson, every time you show a proposal, there's a 50% chance of closing. Why? Well, you'll get an answer and the answer is yes. You'll get an answer and the answer is no. Either yes or no. 50-50, right? Well, if you really thought like that, then you'd think you'd have a 50% chance of closing lottery tickets, because every lottery ticket's either a winner or a loser. But there you know it's not 50-50, because if it was, every other time you bought a lottery ticket, you'd win. Every other buyer would win. But in fact, it's 1 in a million. Well, with our salespeople, it's probably not 50% for most of their proposals. It's probably not 1 in a million. It's somewhere in the middle. Well, if we don't know what that number is for each salesperson, we are going to make the wrong decisions. The next challenge I call making sales like manufacturing. Let me explain. When it comes to the manufacturing side of the business, there's a lot of science. There's a lot of organization. We begin with knowing what the output we desire, what we want, and when we want it. We figure out a manufacturing process that will arrive at that output, and therefore, based on the goal and the process, we know what ingredients we need to add, what packaging we need to consider. Well, same thing with sales. In sales, we ought to do the same thing. We ought to think about the output, the result, then we ought to back into that with the right sales process. And only when we understand the goals and the process do we know how to begin. But most organizations have taken a completely different approach, where they don't look at sales like manufacturing. They talk to salespeople who say, I already know how to sell. Don't tell me, and I've got my own way that works for me, and it's totally secret. And based on that, nobody knows what they need to begin with, what the process will look like in the middle, and when or if the outputs will actually ever be realized. And finally, the challenge of the power of echo. In the old days, salespeople taught customers. In today's world, business-to-business customers are increasingly buying like consumers, where they spend 50 to 80% of their buying process researching, talking to peers, doing a number of things other than talking to salespeople. Customers are spending less and less of their time talking to salespeople, and they're talking to those salespeople later in the process. So for us to be impactful with customers, what we actually need to do is get to our customers indirectly by getting first to their circle of influencers. Because if we can get our customers to repeat our sales pitch to their circle of influencers, and we can get those circle of influencers to echo our sales pitch back to the customer, that's when the customer's reassured by their peers to move forward with us. I had a life-changing experience in 2008. It changed the way I run my business. It changed the way I do sales. It changed the training and the coaching advice I give to my clients. That event was I swam the English Channel. In 2008, I successfully got from England to France. Now, only 1 in 6 solo swimmers make it. Most people fail. In fact, more people have gotten to the top of Mount Everest than have crossed the channel. Why? What makes the channel so hard? Cold water that's really, really cold, but they don't allow you to have a wetsuit. Rough water because you're swimming across a current that's going north or south, but you're going east to west, and jellyfish and other marine life in your way. And if we're to overcome those obstacles, we're not going to be able to do it by remaining comfortable. We've got to learn new skills. We've got to do new things. Under normal conditions, you try to avoid those things. In that training, I learned how to do something when you didn't have the luxury of an excuse. Let's apply that to the challenge of entering new markets. What I've learned is that most people try something new once, don't like how it feels, go back to the way they always did things. And as a result, they swim in a big circle. Let me explain. In open water, if I literally dropped you into the middle of open water and you couldn't see land on any side, well, it turns out that either your right arm or your left arm is slightly stronger than the other. So over time, with each additional stroke, unbeknownst to you, even though you think you're swimming straight, even though you think you're swimming toward a goal, you're in fact going to swim in a big circle, and you'll only realize it when you finally get to the beginning again. If you were in a helicopter looking at that swimmer, you'd see their circle and you'd see their mistake because they played to their strength. They shied away from the cold water, rough water jellyfish. My training will prepare you and your team for the cold water of jumping into a new territory, the rough water of dealing with the many proposals, the prospecting, the emails that you have to do and keep straight, and the jellyfish, which is everything you're going to try to avoid, which is new skills, disciplines, technologies, all of which you need to use if you're to be successful in today's world. If you want more information, please contact me.